Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hmm. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sean Andrew, back with another review. Please feel free to leave your comments down below of what you thought about this episode. We'll be talking about Shameless, Season 2, Episode 1, Summertime. We started with Frank yelling particular comments at a group of people in the bar. He feels that the storyline that the guy is telling is fake. The man's going on about how he was tasered twice, able to fend off a bunch of cops, and was still able to get away. So Frank challenges him that you can't get tasered twice without crapping in your pants. Kev pulls out the taser from behind the bar, tasers a guy twice, and that man stands strong through it all. But before, the man offers like, I'll bet you 1,000. Well, Frank, thinking he don't want to lose a good bet, he bet 10,000, and of course, he now has to pay. Well, we fast forward a little bit, and he's looking around different areas, trying to pull in some extra cash, and just as things start to run out, he then grabs Liam and decides that he's going to hook him up to his back and try to hold one of those signs, God bless, blah, 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 save the children, and use that to get money from the passing cars. Well, it starts to work for a while until one of the cars he comes up to is a guy that he actually owes the money to. After a quick interrogation tactic in a top shop, a blowtorch and some soldering pieces of equipment would normally get people to talk, definitely would for me. And in return, they decide they're going to keep Liam as collateral. Now, this is one of the lowest points I think I've seen so far of Frank. A debt you got yourself into and you freely give over one of your kids. But then again, playing true to the character, it kind of seems like something he'd do. He does try again, though. He does try to create some fake drugs, even though I didn't know salt and like some laxatives could really count for cocaine, but maybe some people who are desperate enough. But when that doesn't work, because he tried to sell on a street corner that some other kids were actually running, and then they kind of shot at him for him to leave. Next thing you know, he goes to a gay bar and talks about how he needs some money. So he actually lets this one guy suck him off. And as he comes out, the head man of the bar is like, hey, Frank, wait, we got some more people. And there's a row of dudes who are sitting there waiting to get sucked off. Let me rephrase that. He's letting them suck him off. So I guess, I don't know how much he can keep that up because that just sounds tiring to me. By the way, over to Fiona. She has a new job at a club and meets up with this young businessman through one of her friends. And they hang out. They're having a good time, doing some drinking. Next thing you know, they're having sex that's overlooking like the skyline, right next to the water. It's kind of probably about 5:30, maybe with something where the normal business lights are still on and the sunlight is starting to rise. So it actually was a pretty cool shot. Anyway, Fiona challenges him to a quick run on the beach after she talked about how she was actually on a track team. Going to find out she was known to be pretty good. She was reportedly going to get ready to break some type of a high school record. I think it's for running a mile the fastest. I'm guessing, life got in the way, and that had to get changed. Either way, he goes ahead and drops her back off home, and she handles the house business like she seems to do every time. And this time, though, we learn that they're actually running a daycare, and Debbie is the main one taking care of it. Some little quirky things happen, nothing too major to talk about. But then later on, this is right after Deb had saw Frank take Liam. It's nighttime, and she finally tells Fiona, "Hey, Frank took him. I thought he was going to be back, but he isn't." Next thing you know, all the kids get up, go to Frank, say what happened. They go find the guy that has Liam. They take him back, say we're going to pay him back, and that's how that part ends off. Then we go over to Philip and Kev, who are now needing to work together more than ever, since Kev, who decided to start growing pot out of the basement, now has this huge $9,000 electricity bill, and now they're getting ready to cut it off. So they have the old ice cream truck that they had, fixed that up, and they're going to start selling candy as well as the weed to start making the money to pay back the bill. But when Veronica finds out about how much pot he grew, She gets upset and she wants it thrown out. She doesn't seem to mind if he grew maybe 1 or 2 plants. That's one thing for a little buzz. But for the amount he did, I mean, he damn near had a whole basement just full of them. Definitely one of those things that if the cop came knocking, everybody would have got locked up for something like that. And the interesting part about that is he not only stashes 2 away for himself, and then he buries it in the backyard. He allows Philip to keep some so that they could sell. And then he also gives a bag or 2 to Fiona for her to give to the guy to have them, you go ahead and sell it here. This ought to be enough. Here should cover the debt with Frank. That's how the main part of the story goes. In closing, I'm going to talk about Ian. Ian shows up to work at the Cash and Grab, and Cash's wife is there complaining that he didn't come home last night. Have you seen him? I had to open the store by myself. And just as she leaves, Cashton shows up. Apparently, he's been waiting outside for over an hour for her to leave. A little bit later, another man comes in dressed up in the full garment robes where you can only see the eyes, and they head to the back freezer. Cash follows them and tells Ian to watch the register. He then comes back, and Ian says, your fly is open. There's another little touching scene that happens where Cash kind of breaks down, like this kind of hiding about being gay and, dealing with his wife. It's starting to become a bit too much, but he goes off, he cries, and Ian doesn't really have anything to say. I do believe Ian understands as well as this type of struggle that's going back and forth. But being younger, not having any kids, a family that now fully knows and supports him, it's definitely a lot easier for Ian to handle it. But then things get a little bit more odd because the guy with the robe came back. We can only see the eyes. He comes back. And when the wife, out of the blue, asks to speak to Cash, Ian goes to get him. And now the man leaves, and Ian is also, and Cash is also dressed up. We're in the same robes. Now, this is the really breaking moment because Cash asks Ian to hey, look, can you give me a head start? At least an hour or so. I have to leave. I can't do this anymore. Trying to balance this life isn't working. And Ian just kind of looks at him, He's like, what am I going to tell your kids? Cash just kind of looks back, covers his face, and then walks out the door. Again, he has so much more at stake, It's very touching to see that, because how that's going to turn out should be very interesting. There's no way that one person can take all that and within the past year, your wife finds out that you're banging the young boy, or in this case, he's banging you actually. She wants to get pregnant again, and come to find out she has a condition, like I said, where she is bedridden for the rest of the pregnancy. He just don't want to deal with it. And I guess he finally found his way out. So that's the end of the episode. Again, this was actually one of my top 10 new TV shows of 2011. So I am definitely intrigued. I can't wait to see what the Gallaghers seem to get themselves into next, because they showed the preview for the upcoming season. Some certain faces return. But what I really want to see them talk about is Liam and how 2 white people have a black child. That's still where my head is at. That's going to be interesting on how they explain that. So again, please leave your comments down below of what you actually thought about the episode and what your thoughts are for the coming up episodes. My name is Sean Andrew with the TV show review. This has been a review of Shameless, Season 2, Episode 1, Summertime. See ya.